Okay, this is the 10MinuteBible.com, part 2 of 1 Peter 3, 1 through 4. We left off A1, A2, A3, A4. We're just doing A5. We saw the major verbal proposition is that wives should be submissive, the ones to whom they should be submissive, the manner in which they should be submissive, and that was to be determined. The purpose of them being submissive is so that the husbands may be won. Then A4 is actually going to be indented conceptually under A3, because we're no longer talking about them being submissive, but we're talking about them being won by their wives' submissive conduct. And the time when that happens is when the husbands see the blameless and respectful conduct of their wives. Hopefully I have time to touch on a neat little piece here from the online Bible. This word for submissive is hupotasso. It means under, line up, means to line up under. This is different from the word obey. Sometimes it's translated obey, and later on in the same chapter of 1 Peter 3, they talk about obedience in a different context. But here it's lining up under, so it's not just doing what someone says, but it's embracing the objectives and agenda of the one that is above you. It's a military term. There it is, tells you right there in the online Bible. And obviously a person who is in the military is not just doing what their commanding officer expressly commands them to do, but they are following the agenda of their commander. Different from normal conceptions of husband-wife relationships. Okay, now we're going to go to A5, and we're really not sure what's going on here. Excuse me. Hopefully this can be edited out, but when you first get it, it probably won't be. Okay, it says woman's adornment should be outward rather than inward. So it's going to start with the woman should not let their adornment be outward. The woman should let their adornment be inward. Let me get back to the text here. There it is. Sorry about that. Okay, do not let your adornment be outward. The translators put in merely, which is probably right. And then describing what that outward looks like. Arranging the hair, wearing gold, and putting on apparel. Basically, it's wearing clothes. Translators threw in the word fine. So obviously people aren't running around in their birthday suits. So they put in the idea of merely outward and fine apparel. Probably the author's original intent. So the manner in which their adornment should not be, and then this is going to be parallel the manner in which their adornment should be. Not outward, but inward, hidden person of the heart, and then it's going to elaborate what that is. Incorruptible beauty, gentle, quiet spirit, and they're going to have this hard phrase to figure out, which is precious in the sight of God, but we'll figure it out. It's not that difficult. So verbal proposition number 1 down here. Let your adornment be, should not let their adornment be outward. The manner in which it should not be outwardly is braiding your hair, cornrows. It's one of the ideas behind that. Wearing gold and following the latest fashion. So, the manner of a woman's adornment should not be outward fashions and hairstyles. Reminds me of the proverb, pig with a ring in its nose, still a pig. And then we drop down to the coordinate verbal proposition. Their adornment should be the hidden person of the heart. Whatever that means, you need to figure that out, but we're just working on the outlining today. And the manner of the inward adornment is with the incorruptible beauty of a meek and quiet. That would be non-nagging, non-grumbling, blah, 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 spirit. Put the two of these guys together, their manner. I got two manners combining, manner here, A5A, A5B. They're going to combine to A5. So, in order to do that, come up here. The subject comes from above, so the something of husbands being won by observing the blameless, respectful conduct of their wives is what follows down below. Since I'm going to probably run out of time again, I won't go through all the options with you. I'm going to say it's the way you think about this is, okay, husbands are being won, and then there's this stuff. How do they relate? The reason adornment should be inward, rather than outward, my bad. I gave away my next point. So the result of husbands being won by their blameless conduct of their wives is that wives should focus on displaying the inner beauty, which is precious in God's sight. Left off 4C, so that's going to have to get redone one of these days, but I'm just going to get this out to you guys today. Little phrase, which is precious in the sight of God. You have to figure out what it goes back to. And it's obviously talking about these items here. This is the stuff that's precious in God's sight. Relative pronouns frequently indicate a new thought, and frequently they give reason. So the reeds and the adornment should be inward rather than outward. So I'm having this guy here modify both sections, is because inner God-trusting beauty is very precious in the sight of God. If you don't understand why that's God-trusting, think about it and ask me if you can't figure it out. So those 3 points combine and into my A5. So husbands are won. The result of them being won in this particular manner is that women should focus on displaying inner beauty, which is precious in God's sight. Okay, I got a minute or two left. Let me just zip over to the online Bible, and then I look up some more words to help you understand the passage better. Subject is one of them. Another one that's interesting is this idea of winning. So maybe one. Here we go. That's my word for one. Gain, win, acquire. So the whole idea of the husbands being gained, won over, is interesting. Let's go a little further here. Click on this word, click on there, and you'll get all the spots where this word is used in the scriptures. And it's talking about how Paul becomes a servant of all that he might gain or win them. To the Jews he became like a Jew so he could win them. To the weak he became weak. Paul also talks about this in terms of winning his reward in Philippians 3. It's used in James of actually going and gaining business, so it's an investment in gaining an objective. And there's our phrase, wives, be subject to your husbands that you might gain or win them. So it's not just a kind of passive thing, but it's a very active pursuit of an objective. Okay, I got a minute left. And let's see if I have tied it all together. Okay, now we've got A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to summarize them into A up here. But let's go back and pick up A1 for 10 seconds. The manner in which wives should be submissive to their husbands is either the same way as Christ was to the Father, servants to their masters, with conscience towards God, or abstaining from fleshly desires. These are the major verbal ideas up above. The best bet, I think, is as Christ did. Servants doesn't fit because of what's going to happen down below. You'll see it. And we're going to reserve these two for summarizing everything. So the manner in which, this is for summarizing everything, and we're not really sure how far it goes, the manner in which believers should live with conscience towards God, or the manner in which they should abstain from fleshly desires, is by wives submitting to their husbands, blah, 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 blah. We'll come back and do it again. Take care.